Hi, I'm Kevin. Today we're fixing a batter bread called Sally Lunn. It's a luxurious loaf that contains eggs and butter and milk and, well, it's totally delicious and it's really easy to make. Okay, so the first thing we need is a half cup of whole milk and a half cup of butter. And I'm going to put this in the microwave just until the butter melts. All right, here's the butter and milk mixture, and the butter has melted, but the whole thing is way too hot now. So to cool it off, I'm going to put this in a bowl of cold water. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and make the yeast mixture. Oh, let me back up a moment. You want the butter and milk mixture to cool down to around 110 to 115 degrees. Okay, now we can move on to the yeast mixture. Okay, for the yeast mixture, you want to put a half cup of warm water in a 4-cup measure, or in a large bowl, it doesn't matter. And then add 2 1/4 teaspoons of either active dry yeast or instant yeast. Both will behave in the same way. I found there's no difference in rise time or anything else when I've used instant yeast as opposed to active dry yeast. Then, going to add a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar to the yeast. And then give that a little whisk. And we're going to let this proof while the butter and milk come down in temperature. So this will only take a couple of minutes. We'll be right back. Okay, the milk has cooled down to 110 degrees. Yeah, putting this in the bowl of cold water worked really well. It cooled down very quickly. So now to the yeast mixture, I'm going to add 3 large beaten eggs. And the milk and butter. Give that a little whisk. And then we need 3 1/2 to 4 cups of flour. I have 3 cups of flour in here right now, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And just stir that in. I'm going to make a well in the middle. And then add all of the liquid ingredients. And start mixing just with a spoon. You do not need a bread machine or a stand mixer or anything else besides a spoon, because this, as I said, is a batter bread. And you want to just keep stirring this until a dough develops. And the dough will not be soupy, but it won't be terribly thick. And I can already tell I'm going to need the other half cup of flour. So I'm using a total of 4 cups of flour. And you just stir and stir with the stout spoon. And it should become fairly smooth. Well, you stir until it becomes fairly smooth. Okay, you have to force it into submission. Okay, we are good. Have a look. Then, I'm going to take a spatula and just scrape off my spoon. And Then I'm going to scrape down the walls of the bowl. You don't need a grease bowl for this recipe. This is very different from my usual yeast breads. Okay, and then cover the bowl with cling film. And we're going to let this rest at room temperature. Do not put this on a heating pad or in a proofing oven. Just leave it out at room temperature until the batter doubles in volume. That's going to take about 2 hours, so we will be back. All right, 2 hours later, my dough hath risen. So now remove the plastic and grab a spoon or a spatula and then deflate the dough. I'm just scraping around the sides and the dough is deflating. All right, and then you have to choose a bread pan. So you could bake this bread in 2 8x4 loaf pans. Be sure to grease them well. Or you can do what I'm doing. If you want a perfectly rectangular loaf, bake the bread in a 13-inch pan de mie pan, which is also known as a Pullman pan. My Pullman pan has a lid, and I will be using that. We're going to scrape this into the pan. And just be patient here. It'll take it a moment to plop into the dish. There we go. Try to get all of this out of here. Yeah, it's a very sticky dough. And then, let's see, I'm going to spray my spatula with some nonstick spray. And then you want to, let me show you, you want to spread the dough so that it covers the entire bottom of the pan. And you do not have to be terribly gentle here. Just get it into the corners. Try to spread it as evenly as you can. All right. There it is. And then we're going to cover this loosely with cling film. Only loosely, don't make a tight seal. And then spray or butter the top of the film and then flip the film over so that the grease side is down. And then we're going to let this rise until it reaches, about a ½ inch from the top of the pan, if you're using one of these pan de mie pans. If you're using a regular loaf pan, let the bread rise or make a crown about 1 inch above the rim of the pan. And halfway through the rising time, let me talk to you. Preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'll come back when my bread is ready to go into the oven. Oh, I'm back. You could probably get away with using one 9 by 5 inch loaf pan. Just be sure to grease it well. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, I actually got distracted while this was rising, so I let it rise a little too much. But this is the reason that I greased the underside of the plastic wrap, is so that I would not tear the dough when I removed the wrap. All right, now, here it is. Yeah, I should have only let it rise about a ½ inch from the top. And nevertheless, I'm going to put this lid on. There we go. And then this goes into the oven for 45 minutes. So we'll be back to show you the finished bread. All right, here's the bread, fresh out of the oven. Move you in a little. Yes, Tiger. That's my cat, Tiger, offering her unsolicited opinion. All right, so let's see how this baby looks. Now, so you have to remove the lid, and I always think of a striptease here, so da da dum, da 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 dum, do 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 dee da bum bum bum. Okay, here it is. So as you can see, the lid stops the bread from forming a crown. This way you get a perfect rectangle. But if you like a crown, go ahead and bake the bread in a regular loaf pan. And then I'm going to knock this out. And by the way, I forgot to grease this pan, so wish me luck. Yep, came right out. Ooh, it's beautiful. Then I have to turn it on its side. Move this out of the way, it's really hot. I'm going to set the cooling rack on top of the pan. Now, unfortunately, we cannot cut into this bread while it's hot. You really want it to cool down to room temperature. But I have the loaf from yesterday, so we're going to cut into that one. Hang on. Okay, here's the bread. Here's my emotional support butter. And some strawberry jam. Cut into this. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at, this is called the crumb, the interior. And when you bake bread in this pan-to-me pan, yes, Tiger, you end up with a very thin crust, which is just what I like. So now, one bite, au natural. Oh, yum. It tastes like a light brioche. Now let's try this with a little butter. Delicious. Let's try it with some butter and some strawberry jam, which is exactly how I would eat this for breakfast. And you could toast this bread, by the way. Oh yeah. It's truly wonderful. I should probably mention that you can slice this bread very thinly. That way you can call it a low-carb bread. Well, I hope you'll give this luxurious loaf a try. Again, it's called Sally Lunn, and I will post the list of ingredients in the description box below. And then later this week, I'll type up a printable recipe, which you can find on my website, and I will post that link below when it's ready. So please give this bread a try, and thank you for watching. Please post a comment below because I love hearing from you. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.